sun dipped below the horizon, casting long, jagged shadows against the formidable walls of Jericho. Elad and Jaron moved like shadows themselves, their hearts thumping in rhythm with the heavy footsteps of the city guards. This was not a journey for the faint of heart. It was a desperate search for a foothold in a land that felt entirely hostile. As they slipped through the massive stone gates, disguised in the dusty cloaks of common travelers, they carried the weight of a nation's hope. Every glance from a stranger felt like an indictment, yet a quiet, invisible hand seemed to steer them through the crowded market toward a house built right into the city wall. Word of their arrival had traveled faster than the desert wind. Inside the house of Rahab, the air was thick with the scent of spices and the tension of imminent discovery. Suddenly, a thunderous pounding echoed against the wooden door. The king's soldiers had arrived, their bronze armor clattered as they demanded the surrender of the foreigners. Rahab stood tall, her eyes reflecting a calculated calm that belied the danger of the moment. With a steady voice, she faced the lead guard, gesturing toward the darkening streets and leading them away from the truth. She was a woman who had spent her life observing the tides of power, and she sensed that the tide was finally turning. High above the city streets, on the flat expanse of the roof, Elad and Jaron lay hidden beneath stalks of drying flax. The stalks were rough and smelled of the earth, providing a fragile sanctuary. Rahab climbed the ladder to join them, the moonlight illuminating her face. She did not speak of the soldiers, but of the great God who had dried up the waters of the sea for their ancestors. Her voice was a soft whisper, yet it carried the weight of a profound conversion. She recognized that the walls of Jericho were nothing compared to the power of the one who led these men. In the silence of the night, a bridge of faith was built between a woman of the city and the messengers of the wilderness. Jaron reached into his satchel, his eyes meeting Rahab's as they forged a sacred covenant. They needed a sign, a way to distinguish her household when the day of reckoning arrived. Rahab produced a cord of vibrant scarlet, its color as bold as the confession she had just made. As Jaron held one end of the rope, they spoke of mercy and protection. This red thread would become more than just a signal. It was a lifeline for her family and a symbol of a future reclaimed from the ruins. In that dimly lit room, the bargain was sealed not with silver, but with the shared understanding that grace often finds a home in the most unexpected places. The time for departure had come before the first light of dawn could betray them. Using the same scarlet cord, Rahab lowered the men from her window, which looked out over the steep drop beyond the city walls. Elad and Jaron descended into the darkness, their boots searching for purchase on the rough stone. As they reached the ground and turned to flee toward the safety of the limestone hills, they looked back one last time. High above, the scarlet thread hung like a drop of blood against the gray stone, a tiny, flickering hope in a city of stone. They realized then that their mission was not just about scouting a land, but about discovering the boundless reach of God's providence.